I literally feel like a new woman, and it's because I actually took the time to collect some knowledge and, like, not even collect knowledge, but be honest with myself and actually just look at myself in the mirror and ask myself, what are you actually doing? Anyway, hey guys, welcome back to Overthinking and Underperforming. If you're new here, my name is Gabriella. If you're not new here, welcome back. Thank you for coming back to this episode 4. I believe this is episode 4 now. Yeah, this is just our fun little space on the internet to talk about life and to just be honest with each other, and hear the things that sometimes we don't want to hear. You know what I mean? Anyway, today we're going to be talking about procrastination and just like the fact that you need to collect yourself. You need to collect yourself. We need to collect ourselves. Because if you haven't watched any previous episodes, on episode 2, I can't lie, I literally recorded that maybe like a month ago. But on episode 2, I was kind of talking about how like I'm just very lost in life. I don't know what's happening. It's hard for me to find a way back to myself. And everything was just not going my way. And I was just very much confused and just very much like, what's going on? And I feel like once I kind of found my way back to doing the things that worked for me, but in a smarter way, I started to slowly like make sense of everything again. But anyway, procrastination, we all procrastinate, but I just feel like sometimes we go about procrastination in a very interesting way that is so counterproductive. But sometimes we just convince ourselves. We just convince ourselves that it's actually doing something for us, Like we'll be like, okay, no, I'm just gonna read this book and reading is good for me, so I'm just gonna read before I do all my work, or like I'm just gonna, I don't know, whatever the excuse is. We can just sometimes get in our head and act like we're not procrastinating, even though we know we're procrastinating. But anyway, we already know what procrastination is. Procrastination, like, I'm not gonna act like it's something that, you can beat once and that from the second you understand it, you're just moving forward all the time and you never procrastinate. I feel like even like the people who just seem to be on top of everything also procrastinate. Procrastinating is a very universal thing. It happens to everyone. But I just think there's a certain level of comfortability that comes with procrastination that I feel like 90% of the population kind of does. If you were like me a month ago when I was recording that episode, I just really couldn't get out of it, and it was literally just ruining everything for me. And I wanted to be able to do stuff, but I just couldn't get myself to do anything, and I was just letting myself down. And I feel like sometimes when we get to that point, we do this thing where we're like, oh, okay, maybe we just need to chill. Maybe we just need to take care of ourselves. Like, maybe we just need to. Anyway, that's a whole topic. I will get to it because I do think there's a part of procrastination or part of like, when it comes to you want to get something done, you have a goal to reach, you have a deadline, you have a whatever it is, or you have something that you've been meaning to work on, or a project that you've been meaning to start, whatever it is, like we can just sometimes convince ourselves that, maybe it's not the time, or like we just tell ourselves a lot of stories. Anyway, so 3 reasons why I think procrastination comes about and is present in the first place. There is 1, laziness. That's like I think that's the most common one. Not most common one, but I think most common narrative of why you procrastinate. So laziness and just not caring. There is also, fear of failure, which is a very real thing. And then there's last but not least, my favorite one, but I feel like the most controversial one is that you're too soft on yourself. Way too soft on yourself. And that is not a form of self-care, and some people paint this to be a form of self-care, and I just think that is so counterproductive to anything you want to achieve in life, if we're being completely honest. Anyway, sometimes I like to ask myself, like, what is the difference between me and someone who's being extra productive? Like, for me, I watch a lot of productivity videos. I'm very big on like lifestyle YouTubers, like morning routines and like nighttime routines. Like I'm just that type of girl. Like I'm just watching like people just go about their day and just like live life. I don't know, it kind of like motivates me to be as like, I don't know, it just gives me energy to like put the same energy into my life, if that makes sense. But yeah, sometimes like when I'm watching or even listening to podcasts, and a lot of the times I'll listen to like these. Tam Kerr is a big YouTuber and podcaster that I literally listen to and watch all the time, and I'll just watch the way she's going about her life and being so productive and doing this and doing that, and she's just so on top of everything. And I'm like, in moments where I'm not being my productive self, and in moments where I'm just letting myself down, I'm just like, what is the difference between her and I? What what does she have that even when I'm my most productive and she's her most productive, she's just on another level? Like, what is it that I'm missing? And a lot of the times there's something that I realize when it comes to achieving my goals and when it comes to, striving for what I want for my life. And it's that a lot of the times when we look at people and we look at, what they achieve and like how they're able to push themselves, I feel like we look at it as there's something motivating them. And I feel like it's becoming more common that motivation is literally a myth and you're just wasting your time if you're gonna depend on like, this huge like burst of motivation to somehow get you out of like doing absolutely nothing. And I feel like it's just more common that that's literally just a myth and that you need to find your reason and you need to find your why that makes it that makes you want to get up and do something. And I think a lot of the times when I look at like now the YouTubers that I'm like, how are they able to like do so much? It's because they have something that's literally like an intrinsic like something within them that explains exactly why they need to be doing this, and something that is important to them that gets them out of bed. Like, for example, like law students or medical students, like law school and medical school are hell. I'm not a law student. I'm not a medical student, a medicine student, medical student. I don't know. And you could just see, bro, like that life is not simple. It is not simple. But at least for the people that I know that are passionate about it, like I just look at the way they're moving. And even though they don't want to get up right now, like they don't want to like have to do that organic chem or whatever it is, and like it's really tough stuff like they're learning, they don't want to do it, but they're still able to get up and do it because there's something within them, like there's a depth to why they're doing it and why they're getting up. It's not just about completing that one project. They see it as something that is a piece to, this bigger picture in their heads. And I feel like a lot of the times it's so easy to just get up and do stuff because we're supposed to be doing them, but we don't realize that by like figuring out why are we doing this. Okay, why do I have to get up and write this essay right now for school? Why do I have to like focus on this project right now and actually try to do a good job? Why do I have to do X, Y, and Z? Like why? Like why? Because if you don't have that why, it makes it so much easier for you to just sleep. But if you had that why and you were like, okay, I want this specific life for myself, I want to be able to, create a certain reality for myself. When you really sit down and visualize it and be like, this is what I want for myself, it's easier for you to actually be like, oh, you know what, I don't want to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway, because you understand that it's part of the bigger picture, and it's almost like it's driving you, or even your fear of like not achieving that for yourself is pushing you to be like, okay, I have to get this done, I have to get this done, I have to get this done, because you've established why it is so important for you, and you've established, that bigger why. So I think that's the difference between, people that procrastinate a lot and, just aren't able to ever get, we all know that one person that like for some reason they're just not able to get anything done. Like they'll say they'll get it done, then they'll be like, actually no, tomorrow, actually no, next week, actually no, next month. And you're living your life based on your mood, and you don't realize that your life is actually being controlled by your mood. Like what you want for yourself is not even a factor, and it's not even gonna come true because you literally live every single day of your life based on your mood. Like, oh, I don't want to do this today, so I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna chill, and I'm just gonna give myself that time, and I'm gonna wait for the motivation. Anyway, the 3 reasons that I came up with for procrastination. So, laziness. When it comes to laziness, I just feel like laziness, someone said this once, laziness, it's a lazy way of viewing procrastination. And I feel like this ties literally, basically just ties to everything that I just said 2 seconds ago, where there is always a reason why you're procrastinating. There is always a reason why you're procrastinating. It's not that you're too tired. It's not that you just don't care enough. It's not that like there's a reason why you don't care enough. There's a reason why you're creating that excuse that you're too tired to be able to do it, that you'll do it later. There's a reason why it's not important enough for you to even view it as something that you should be giving your energy to, and that's why you're gonna procrastinate and do it later. You know what I mean? Being lazy just isn't good enough of an answer to why you procrastinate. And I think people should stop labeling people as lazy and actually be like, okay, why do you actually have a hard time doing this right now? What is going on in your brain? What is going on in your system that is making it so difficult for you to actually get up and do something with your life? Sometimes I feel like when it comes to tiredness, I think sometimes we do exhaust ourselves with our mind. Like we get too caught up in visualizing how we're supposed to do something that, or like, we try to plan it out in our heads to feel like we're actually being productive. And, we exhaust ourselves with all these ideas and all these things that we're supposed to be doing. And maybe that contributes to why you're quote unquote too tired to do it. But then again, if it was important enough for you, being too tired would not be an excuse. But anyway, one of the biggest things with laziness and one of the biggest things, with like not caring enough to stop procrastinating is the fact that your life is just not interesting enough for you to stop procrastinating. But the truth is that if you keep procrastinating, it will never be interesting enough for you to get to the point where you don't have to procrastinate anymore. I feel like that's a controversial one. I feel like a lot of people might get angry at me for that. I know you're going to take that in a bad way, but I really just need you to hear what I just said. Because the second that I actually looked at my life this way and I started to be honest with myself and I was like, okay, I tell myself, I want this for myself and I want this for my future and I want this for my social life. I want this for my relationship life. I want this for my, I want to achieve all these things and I want to do all these things. Like, and then me sleeping in my bed and me not choosing to get up right now and not choosing to put in the work and actually do more than I even need to be doing in order to achieve that dream that I say that I want. Sometimes we don't realize that by you getting up right now and doing all the hard stuff and doing everything that you don't want to be doing, even though you're the type of person who perhaps you want to like be an actor, but your parents are like, no, you have to finish school. So then you sleep and then you fail school, then you're repeating classes because you're like, no, I don't get to live the life that I want to live right now. But babe, if you were actually to get up and pass your classes and maybe even graduate early, if you want to graduate early, you'll actually be able to live out this dream that you've been saying that you wanted to live. You know what I mean? The next one that I feel is common is the fear of failure. The fear of failure, guys, it's so real. Do you know it's so real? Like the amount of times I'm just sat in bed, then I'm like, oh my gosh. But like if I do this and then, things are gonna go wrong and then what if this happens and what if that happens? Like it's literally just you overthinking and underperforming. But no, but literally it's literally just anxiety taking over your life and all of these emotions and all of these fake scenarios just taking over your life. And everyone's experienced this. Let's not act like we're above it all. It's a very real thing and I know that I've lived most of my life like always panicking about what could go wrong and I'm always just kind of thinking about how to avoid what could go wrong, but sometimes you don't realize that you avoiding what could go wrong creates more opportunity for you to actually fail, because you don't realize that in you failing you're actually one step closer to figuring out what you need to do to win. The thing is with failure and the thing is with being scared of failing is that I don't know why we've put this in our minds that failure is failure. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, why are we so scared of failure? Because it's like failure is inevitable. Like, it is so inevitable. Like, you will experience failure in your life. Full stop. There is no avoiding it. So I don't know why we live our lives trying to dodge failure, because as I said before, failure is something that you need in order to figure out what you need to be doing to get it right. It's like if you don't get up and you don't, make that mistake, you won't actually be in the position to get up next time and be like, okay, wait, let me not do that because I know that didn't work last time. So let me actually switch it up and let me try this out. And that might also fail, but let me see what happens and let's see if that works out. Then it fails, then you go to the next thing and you keep going to the next thing until you figure out what actually works for you. But if you just sit there and you plan in your head and you start visualizing like, okay, this could go wrong and like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this. It's like you're not even giving yourself the opportunity to figure out if it could actually go wrong. For all you know, the thing that you're saying might happen might be the reason why you're able to achieve that goal or do that thing, or for the situation to go right. You need to experience that thing for the situation to go right. So for you to sit there and be so scared of failure, it's like you've already told yourself you're going to fail, by the way. By you being scared of failure, and by you avoiding failure, and you dodging it and trying to be like, okay, how do I succeed without failing? You've already failed. You need to get comfortable and be acquainted with the idea that failure is literally just part of the process. It is going to come, but when it comes, you need to understand that that just means you're one step closer to getting it right, and you're one step closer to it actually working out for you. You know what I mean? So I remember I was watching this YouTuber, and she's like, I love watching her. She's just such like Zen vibes. Her name is Hitomi, if anyone knows her. And like, she's just very Zen vibes, very mindfulness, very, I'm not gonna say that word. Um, and she was just kind of talking, and she was saying how, like, I can't remember, something went wrong in her life. And then she kind of like, she was validating her internal fear as real. And then she continued talking, and then it made sense. And I was like, Ashley, you've cooked. But she went somewhere else. But basically, I just wanted to talk about that moment where I was like, what are you actually talking about right now? Then I realized, like, it's not about ignoring that fear. It's about you being able to see that fear and choosing to use it in a way that's going to benefit you. One thing I learned about being able to bounce back from failure is that thing that allows you, that resilience that comes from you bouncing back from that failure is like a muscle. And the more you exercise this muscle, the easier it becomes for you to bounce back from this fear, or rather bounce back from the failure. The more you just do something that you're scared of doing, and you just like see it through and just see where it takes you, and you fail, but you take all of these lessons with you, it's easier for you to be like, okay. And then you go back out and you do the same thing. It's kind of, like when you work out and then your muscles are sore and then you're feeling all that pain and whatever. But when you go back to the gym, you realize that you're stronger. You realize that, oh, actually, I can lift heavier weights. Oh, actually, I can take this on. Oh, actually, I can work out for longer now. Like, oh, I can actually do all these things. So the more times you keep going back, and the more times you keep working on that muscle, the easier it becomes to do all these things, and the stronger you become. And that's exactly how it works when it comes to failures. It's like you being able to do something again and again and again. Obviously being smart, don't be a broken machine that's doing the same thing again, expecting a different result. But, you trying something and realizing that it failed, and then dealing with, either the disappointment, the embarrassment, whatever that comes with this failure, being able to deal with that and being able to be like, okay, I have to try again. I have to do something different. You taking that approach every single time will literally make you indestructible, like actually indestructible, because that muscle, that strength that you're building is literally what's going to get you to the point where you're just unstoppable, I think being able to approach something not knowing where it's gonna go, but be fully committed to whatever it might be, is the best way to actually learn whatever you need to be learning in order to actually go in the direction that you're supposed to be going, or to actually, climb the mountain that you're supposed to be climbing. And now you have all these tools, and now you have everything to actually get there, But when you just like sit in your mind and you just sit in the failures, and I feel like a lot of us do this, right? We'll do the thing where we're being, anxiety is kind of like, it's set to protect us. As humans, we all experience anxiety, and it's all just to protect us. And a lot of the times we'll think that we're doing this in a very productive way. I do this all the time, where we just sit there and we like visualize all the things that could go wrong, and maybe even some of the things that could go right. You just sit there and you try to create the perfect situation in your head, so that when you finally go and do it, you'll be perfect at it, or you'll be perfectly ready for it, And I just think that actually I want you to close your eyes for a second. I want you to close your eyes for a second, and I want you to visualize LeBron playing basketball, and like him just going crazy and doing everything that he's doing. And then I want you to now switch to Adele, and like just like imagine her singing and all of these things that she's doing with her voice and all of these things. Then imagine Tiger Woods and the way he's hitting that golf ball, or imagine Michael Phelps, or whoever it is. Just imagine someone that is just great at doing what they do. Imagine how they do it. Imagine how they achieve the goal. Imagine how they move. Imagine how they sing. Imagine how they manipulate themselves and manipulate, the environment to just create this beautiful thing. And then I want you to open your eyes. Now, if I put you on a basketball court with the Lakers team, would you be able to do what LeBron has done just because in your head you saw it? I guarantee you the answer is no. Just because you visualize how it's supposed to be done and visualize, what not to do and what you should actually be doing, doesn't mean that you're actually physically going to be able to do it perfectly. You have to actually physically put yourself in the position to make the mistakes so that your system can take in what you should actually be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. Because by visualizing how you're supposed to be doing it and by visualizing what you're not supposed to be doing just in your mind, that is not enough for your system to actually take in every single aspect of doing that thing that teaches you how you should actually be doing it or what you shouldn't be doing to do it, So to get to that goal, sorry. So I just think when it comes to this thing of like trying it, like you're just creating, and I really do believe that a lot of us think that it is productive. It's so productive to just sit there and be like, okay, so this is what we have to do, this is what we don't have to do, like we have to make sure we do this, and then we watch all these videos and we read all these books and we do all these things. But if you don't do the thing, I promise you all of that knowledge is actually just a waste, because your system needs to be the one to experience it firsthand in order for you to truly learn that lesson and to truly learn why that's the way you do it or why that's not the way you do it, But anyway, my favorite reason that I feel like might get me in trouble, I don't know, but tough love, is being too soft on yourself. A lot of us paint self-care as this productive thing that is going to enable us to do whatever we are procrastinating doing. First of all, I am not saying that there's anything wrong with self-care and like having a day off and taking care of yourself and like pampering yourself. Those days are needed and like I love those days, do those things. But what I'm specifically talking about is when you have things that need to get done, your to-do list is piling up, your deadlines are piling up, and then you decide, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed, like, let me just have a self-care day. What are you talking about? What are you actually talking about right now? Oh my gosh, this one blows my mind. Because by you running away and giving yourself a self-care day, like you're still not getting rid of all these problems. Those problems are going to stay there. And I do understand there's this narrative that, oh, you'll be better when you come back, right? Like you'll just be rejuvenated, you'll be fresh, you'll be motivated, and everything will be great. And like, that does happen. And sometimes you do actually get up and do stuff. But the thing is, you have to realize that you're teaching yourself that in moments when it's hard, you have to run away for a second and then come back. When it's like, again, if we talk about that muscle of training yourself to actually show yourself some kind of like tough love and true self-care by actually getting up and being like, I don't want to do this right now and I feel crazy and this thing is driving me insane, but you will feel 10 times better if you get up and do it right now and just get it over with. And that feeling that you get from realizing that, okay, I need to do this right now and I can't run away, and yes, I'm stressed, and yes, this might make me crazy, but I just need to get this over with and do this. That feeling that you get when you finish, even though you were about to drive yourself insane, versus that feeling that you get, after taking a self-care day and then you do it, is two completely different things. Because this person that you were when you just decided to be hard on yourself and to actually push yourself is you truly just believing in yourself to get something done, right? And this version of you that needed something else and needed a break was you kind of giving up on your system for, I don't want to say giving up, because then again, I really do believe in self-care days, but it is kind of you training yourself to like retreat before you can handle something. Kind of like telling yourself that you can't handle it in that moment. You need to take a break before you can handle it. And then again, it's like a muscle. The more you're able to be like, okay, I just need to get these things done, the less you will be in a situation where you get so overwhelmed that you feel like you need to run away from society for a second before you can actually do all the things that you're supposed to be doing, Practicing doing that thing, especially when you don't want to do it, is such a powerful form of self-love and self-care that you could show probably the most powerful form of self-care that you could show yourself, because it's you being hard on yourself and you being able to put what you truly want for yourself first, versus you just once again being like hostage to your mood and just acting upon what your mood is versus what you actually want is. Like, just do the things. Don't wait till you're going crazy to need a self-care day. But yeah, I don't know, but I just think a lot of the times we're just very soft on ourselves when it comes to certain things that we need to be hard on ourselves for in order to actually give ourselves what we deserve. And again, a lot of people don't like hearing it, but it's the truth. Sometimes you actually just need to put yourself in those difficult positions in order to honor yourself and honor what you want in life and honor the fact that you're able to handle anything that you put your mind to. You know what I mean? Basically, the moral of this like whole podcast, the message is, don't be in this never-ending cycle of reaching for less because you're too lazy to figure out why it's so hard for you to do anything, or you're so obsessed with just thinking about all the things that you should actually be doing, or you're just being too soft on yourself and you're not putting in yourself in the position to do the hard things that you need to be doing in order to build that muscle that makes it easier for you to tackle hard things and makes it easier for you to strive for bigger things. So yeah, guys, I guess that's it. Thank you so very much for listening to this episode or watching if you're on YouTube. Yeah, I will see you next week.